In adapting the Skrull story from the comics to the screen, how did you decide what to pull and what to avoid from the comics?
The first thing I was told is don't read the comics.
Do Marvel or Kevin Feige kind of outline who can and can't appear as Skrulls?
I guess that's a question for Kevin Feige, and some ideas were killed because Kevin has a plan going down the road, and I'm not sure what that plan is. So it's incredible how hard we work the story at Marvel, how much you just keep going at it and thinking about it and re-editing it until you get the story that's going to spark the audience.
Hey, this is Pops. Man, I tell you, it's so easy to see with Secret Invasion being released how apathetic everybody is towards Marvel. Like, Marvel, the death knell is happening because you did Little Mermaid and Indiana Jones, all have negative reviews, completely bombing on the heels. I mean, Guardians has done okay. It's solid. I don't know the final numbers, and we'll see how it lands. It's definitely among the better things that they have done since 2021. But here we have Secret Invasion that drops in the middle of all this, and it is zero buzz. No one's talking about this. No one cares. They purposely have gone out there to make something that is not based on the comic books. It steals its name, sure, but the Kree and Skrull War involves the Fantastic Four. They're not going to have those characters. We're going to get these characters from Captain Marvel. Remember how much you loved Captain Marvel? Yeah, that's what you're going to get. And because we're watching Secret Invasion, and it opens with Agent Ross there, and you feel like this scene and this character and things like that would matter more. But I have to be honest, it's the execution of this show is so bad from the get-go that you know exactly what's happening. Like, pretty much because Everett Ross is not acting right. He's doing the CIA agent. The CIA agent here, basically, he's tracking some different world of it. And by the way, if you don't want spoilers, this is not the video for you. I'm going to create this new thing now about the landmine scene from Sisu, where the landmine's thrown, hits his head blows up. That's how I feel with some of the stuff, because some things are they're small, and Marvel doesn't care enough to take care of the small things. And what ends up happening is when you start stacking the small things, you end up with something that's horrible and bad. And that's pretty much what this show has done in just one episode. A ton of little small things that are they're horrible. They're bad. So that's the first thing, is Everett Ross just doesn't act like, you know exactly what's going to happen. The CIA op guy is onto it. He kind of knows that there's this thing that's happening and how it's playing out, and he's not acting right. You just know exactly. So Maria Hill sees him in this alley, and he's there struggling, right? And then out of nowhere, you have Talos that shows up and takes care of him, and turns out he's a Skrull.
He's one of them.
Right? And now we're going to call in Nick Fury. So Talos is no longer in charge, and there's like rebels. And by the way, this is like this. They want credit for this. This was really strange, by the way. They want credit for using AI to make their intro or whatever. Like that dropped as a thing that they let everybody know that was kind of a thing. And based is very loosely. We should add the word loosely based. Oh gosh. Okay. So then we basically get Nick Fury back to Earth. He's been teleported off of his little spaceship area where he's been working to create basically this next anti-alien technology or whatever. And we're going to see that in the Marvels, but Fury learns basically what he's basically missed out on here on Earth, as Talos has explained, that he's basically been kicked out of the club. His ally is no longer part of things. His ally is no longer interested. Everyone's getting alerted to Fury being back. and there's basically a new, and I love the fact that the creator talks about Gravik, quote, not being a terrorist, even though the plan is to basically drop 3 bombs in an area where civilians are. Like, looks like one, walks like one, talks like one. Yeah, but not one. So that's kind of how it is. Here's the president finding out. And again, a show like this is almost like it's foreshadowing and pointing to so many things that you just know they're going to be Skrulls, right? You just know if it's not the president, it's going to be one of the key players and that kind of thing. So this is this dude. He's walking up to the gate. We're basically where the rebels are, right? And because Fury basically just gets picked up by MI6. The MI6 lady, she's just girl boss lady who just will kill the Skrulls. She doesn't care. There's no good Skrulls to her. So Fury feels like he has to intercede and do this thing. This is our introduction to Amelia Clark. Now, I'm going to tell you what, man. This scene, they do this whole, show you who your true self is kind of thing. And you see these ridiculous outfits that these guys have. What if the movies need to do that? And look how small she is. Now, I know she's a young, small lady, but she looks so diminutive. Like, she looks like a itty bitty tiny human. And then there's just like wasted time. Basically, they're talking about food. They just happen to talk about Skrull food, so it doesn't get as weird. And they're trying to give us exposition of them walking around and explaining to the newbie like how everything works. This is how they take over a body. They put them in this little machine thing.
Walks look good on camera. They give the illusion of the story moving forward.
And that's how all of that works. And then we have the bomb transfer. This is Gravik, by the way. This is our bad guy. And Gravik basically just feels like Fury never lived up to his end of the bargain. They promised us a planet. They promised the Skrulls somewhere to go and live. It's been too many decades because remember Captain Marvel was set a while ago, right? So it's been at least 30 years or so. And basically like, forget this. We're just going to take over Earth now. Right? So that's kind of how all this plays out. And this is a large part of the show. It's just all of this back and forth about this. And then we get, oh, and by the way, I don't think I said this, right? So this is Talos's daughter, right? So Talos's daughter is played by Amelia Clark, which is, is not really a surprise. We pretty much knew that was going to be the case when she was cast. But Gaia was the little tiny Skrull girl from Captain Marvel, and she's like a punk now, right? She's like a refugee kid. She's bitter and blames her dad and blah 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 blah.
If I woke up tomorrow with my head sewn to the carpet, I wouldn't be more surprised than I am right now.
But reality is now she's just in with a bad guy. And, he's not a terrorist, but he is a terrorist. So she's the one that's going to show up, and we're going to follow her around a little bit. And they're going to have this scene where they're going to go into the guy, because they basically just cross paths and miss the exchange with the bombs. And this horrible scene where Talos is doing all the fighting, losing badly. Fury ultimately has to intercede, and he's like, "Oh no, don't kill him! Don't kill him! It's okay. I got this. You don't got this. You don't got this at all." And it's dumb. Is really what's happening with this scene.
No, God!
I got this.
You sure? No, God, please, no! No!
I said no.
No, God, please, no! No!
I told you I had it, but you didn't have it. And then they leave. Presumably they leave. And just leave him on the floor. So I guess the other humans will just find the dead Skrull on the floor and not ask questions. I don't exactly know how we're going to resolve that, but that's pretty much what happened. And meanwhile, Gaia is just walking. Maria Hill's not saying anything, but evidently knows who Gaia is. So if she knows who Gaia is, why were they not just tracking her all along? Like, I don't understand. If you knew who she was, and maybe you don't know who she is. I don't know. It's not addressed.
Well, let's find out.
But she's going to follow her down into the dark cavern, and then she's going to get jumped by the little tiny girl that's stronger than her. And Maria Hill's following, and then suddenly Talos is where Maria Hill is, following Gaia, and then he basically continues to prove he's a completely incompetent boob as well. Makes my head hurt because he literally has a gun on her, takes the magazine out, sets everything on the ground, and then she just leaves. Like, she's just done. She's not playing it. And, there's a conversation about, your mom died. And that's how all that plays out. And it's just like, I just don't. Oh, it's long-winded and tedious. And all we get is pauses of conversation in between Nick Fury having something cute or funny to say.
I was following you. I was following you. All right. Don't tell anyone this happened, okay?
You gonna tell me why you abandoned Earth?
Building out Saber.
So Saber is the name of that defense mechanism that they're having in the MCU now. So Saber is going to come into play in the Marvels, but it's supposed to be like a defense mechanism, kind of done through Stark. Like, it was sort of that kind of like space station thing and that kind of thing. So that's what's going to carry on. And this is where we get to one of my head exploding lines that doesn't make any sense right here. So I'm just trying to get it to jump ahead just enough.
Spooks like me, bad shots.
You can't say that.
No, you can't say that.
You dirt-eating piece of slime! You scum-sucking pig! You son of a motherless goat!
The Cold War and keeping the Cold War from getting hot. And it's like, spooks like me, you can't say that. And I'm like, oh, head explode. Oh, I just can't stand it.
You're not ready for this, Fury. So check your footing. Otherwise, someone's going to get hurt.
So basically, they have a little bit of the interaction that they're going to move forward with his attack. The MI6 people are not happy with Skrulls. She's having, basically a morality conflict because of her mom being dead. Maybe she doesn't know everything about her dad. She explains there's going to be 3 bombs, where it's going to be. And so presumably she's trying to help them. That's what we believe. And then they're on location and they're tracking these backpacks. Okay.
Got one carrier going northeast, the other one south.
Why? Okay, head explode moment. Can we do side by side? Can we do this? Will it let us? Kind of. All right, let me take the graphic down. Look at the size of the scars in Avengers, and look at the scars now. Was he drawing them in? Did he get a tattoo enhancement? You're talking about an inch or two, way above on his forehead. We're talking about way above on his forehead. Talking at least another inch or two on his head. It's ridiculous. What are we doing? We don't care? No, they don't care. They just want to make my head hurt. All right. So literally the scene just plays out just kind of like as you would expect, right? It's going to be chaos and mayhem. You have this scene where they're following somebody. They can change. And at the last minute, right before Sam Jackson finds out, sees this person that he's following. It's obviously Gravik, who pushes the button, causes an explosion, and all of that chaos breaks out, right? The backpacks were empty. The bombs were already everywhere. So you don't know, Gaia lied, right? And then you have the scene that everyone's talking about. Sam Jackson's character walks up and shoots Maria Hill. Oh my gosh, is he a Skrull? Could he be a Skrull? No, he's not a Skrull, because the real Sam Jackson standing right there, pulls a gun, doesn't do anything, and it's obviously Gravik. Gravik is obviously got the ability to change into multiple people, multiple ways. He's technically what we're going to presume in this MCU universe is what we would call a Super Skrull. So he has not only an absorption of multiple powers and people, but he can do all of that interchangeably very, very quickly and very, very effectively. So what did you miss? Not much. A couple of snarky lines from Nick Fury, a very generic, bland, grounded show. It's supposed to feel like Winter Soldier. It just feels more like a cheap Disney Plus show that is cosplaying a Secret Invasion, the actual comic book story, with Nick Fury, who's basically a knockoff version of what he used to be, because he looks completely different, acting completely different, which was trying to be explained away. So you're going to be led all along the whole time as though he could be a Skrull. That's going to be the twist. So when you get to episode 6, is he a Skrull or not? And that will lead into the Marvels, is what I think is going to happen. Who's the real Skrulls, who's not. In the comic books, it was important because they would find superheroes. They would find Elektra, and then they find her, she's dead, and it is a Skrull. How long has she been a Skrull? Like, what's been going on? That's how Secret Invasion sort of kicked off. It was intriguing and interesting. It only lasted for about 4 or 5 months. I believe it was in 2008. Not my cup of tea. Wasn't really big thing for me personally, but it was a big thing for Marvel. I think Annihilation was a better storyline, but that's a different argument and video for another day. So, do you have an ounce of interest in Secret Invasion? Am I talking just to myself? It's okay if I am. I totally get that. It's me documenting the demise of the MCU. I don't want anyone to think that we're not out here trying to tell them the truth about how bad and crappy the show is, because it's going to be bad. And they know it's going to be bad. That's why they layered it the way they did with the schedule. So it's like snuck in. And by the way, if you think this is bad, wait till we get to Echo. Echo's so bad, it's going to come out literally within a couple of weeks of the Marvels in November, and they're dropping the whole thing in one dump, like Netflix style, on Disney Plus. So they have even less faith in Echo. So anyway, I am Pops. Can't wait to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.
Right? And I'm not playing